Hey everyone, Piano Man Chuck here. So today I am talking to you using the Audio-Technica BP40 Dynamic Broadcast Microphone. Now this is relatively new. It was introduced in 2015, so it's about 6 years old. And we're at the beginning of 2021 now, so it's probably not quite 6 years old yet. But this, for as far as broadcast microphones go, they're great for, as you know, voiceovers, broadcasting, podcasting, audiobooks, that kind of thing. Anytime that you need to record your voice and it needs to be heard in a clear, concise fashion. So you want to try and make your voice sound as pleasant as possible to your listeners because that's all they're listening to is your voice. It's not like they're watching a video where they can be distracted with visual stuff. You want the same kind of quality for video too, but when it's just your voice, all focus is on your voice and you want to be able to sound your best. So, up until this point, I started out, I was using the Shure SM7B, and I thought it was pretty good. But then I came across the Electro-Voice RE20, and I thought, oh my God, my voice sounds so good on that. I couldn't possibly imagine any other mic even holding a candle to the Electro-Voice RE20. So if you check my recent videos, it was using the Electro-Voice RE20. So that was my thought until I came across the Audio-Technica BP40. As I said, until now, nothing held a candle to the Electro-Voice RE20, but now at this point, I'm not so sure which one I like better. I'm tending to lean towards this. Now, let me give you a little bit of history on the Shure SM7B and the Electro-Voice RE20. Those two mics have been staples at radio stations and with broadcast industry use. They are well known, and each one has been around for about 5 decades. The Electro-Voice RE20 was introduced back in 1968. The Shure SM7B was introduced in 1973. And those mics are not just for spoken word. With the Electro-Voice, you have people like Stevie Wonder that recorded with it. And of course, with the Shure SM7B, it's a very widely known fact that Michael Jackson recorded the entire Thriller album with it. And it was used for Vincent Price in the spoken word part of that as well. It's used by Robin Quivers on the Howard Stern show. The list goes on and on. But again, it's had 5 decades. Both of these mics have. But with this being a relative newcomer, and with the type of quality that you're hearing it in my voice right now, this will also be a classic. Mark my words, I guarantee it. So let me talk about price. The Shure SM7B is $399. Call it $400. The Electro-Voice is $50 more at $449. Call it $450. The Audio-Technica is $349 or $350. So right away, you're paying less money, and in many instances, go ahead and read the reviews and what people are having to say about those mics. This kind of beats all of them. So I thought, let's do a test. And right now, you're hearing this with the high-pass filter turned off. I'll demonstrate what it's like with the high-pass filter turned on a little bit later in the video. But right now, in the meantime, let's bring over a Shure SM7B. This is me on the Shure SM7B. Now let's bring in the Electro-Voice RE20. This is me on the Electro-Voice RE20. All right, so from that alone, you should be able to hear a difference between these 3 microphones. And Audio-Technica is definitely not a newcomer. They are very well known for their quality. Even in their lower cost mics. For example, this is an Audio-Technica AT2020. It's a condenser mic, and we're not comparing condenser mics here today. All three of these are dynamic. But I wanted to bring this up because this condenser mic at $99 is better than a lot of other mics costing twice the price and even more. To give you a real life example, Billie Eilish uses this mic, or at least she did when she started, and her voice sounded fantastic on this mic. So we know Audio-Technica quality is first rate. Now, most broadcast microphones are cardioid pickup pattern. The Shure SM7B is a cardioid pickup pattern. The Electro-Voice RE20 is a cardioid pickup pattern. But the Audio-Technica BP40 is a hypercardioid pickup pattern. They're all going to reject the rear. All three of these have a way of minimizing hum, like with humbucking coils, that kind of thing, and minimizing electromagnetic interference. So if you're running a computer nearby, which just a couple of feet behind this, I'm running a laptop computer, and about 6-7 feet behind this, there is a tower computer that's running. You're not hearing any of those. And about 3.5 feet behind me, there's another device that's running that is running a cooling fan. You don't hear it because it's behind this. So these are doing an excellent job of rejecting the sounds from almost anywhere except what's directly in front of it. All right. Now, another thing I wanted to point out, all three of these have what's called a high-pass filter. It's a switch. And when you turn it on, the high-pass filter, what it does is it allows higher frequencies to pass through while it rejects the lower frequencies. And that's usually set at 100 hertz. So I'm going to go ahead and engage the high-pass filter on all three of these so that you can see the difference. All right, so the high-pass filter is engaged on all three of these, and you can hear a little bit of a difference in how I sound. The reason you'd want to use a high-pass filter is to get rid of rumble, and your voice isn't going to sound quite as bassy as it did before, but it's still going to sound bassy. The closer you get, the more muscular or bassy or Howard Sternish it's going to be sounding. But the main reason for using a high-pass filter is to get rid of a lot of sounds that you wouldn't even know, like fans, computer fans, anything else. You're running air conditioning or central air, central heating. It comes out through the vents in the wall, but this will pick that up. And now with the high-pass filter engaged, it gets rid of it. Now, here's how I sound on the Shure SM7B with the high-pass filter engaged. So each mic we're going to sound a little bit different on, but there's always going to be one mic that's going to be sounding the best to your particular voice. Continuing on with the Electro-Voice RE20, this is what I sound like with the high-pass filter engaged on this. And we're going to keep the high-pass filter engaged on all three so that you can see what they sound like. Now, you can be reading specifications all day long, but at the end of the day, it all amounts to, what do you sound like? What can this do for your voice? And that's the only thing that matters. Because let me read off some specifications right now. The BP40, the frequency response on that is 50 to 16 kilohertz. Okay? Basically for voice, that's perfect. But When you go with the RE20, the frequency response on that is 45 to 18,000 hertz. Are you going to hear a difference? I doubt it. And when you go with the Shure SM7B, the frequency response on that is 50 to 20 kilohertz. So that's the widest response there. And of the three mics, I think I like the other two better. I think it does more for my voice than the Shure SM7B does. Don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic mic. I love it. I love how my voice sounds on it. I just like how my voice sounds a little bit better on the Audio-Technica BP40 and the Electro-Voice RE20. Oh, let's talk about weights. We're dealing with the Shure SM7B. It weighs 764 grams or 1.69 pounds. We're dealing with the Audio-Technica BP40. It weighs 632 grams or 1.39 pounds. We're dealing with the Electro-Voice RE20, which comes in at 737 grams or 1.6 pounds. All right. Again, the Electro-Voice RE20 and the Shure SM7B have been staples in broadcast studios for nearly 5 decades for each of them. That's quite a track record. And again, as I said, the Audio-Technica BP40, the newcomer, the new kid on the block, barely 6 years old right now, is rapidly being discovered by a lot of people. And I'm seeing all over the place people that absolutely love the RE20 are now switching over to the BP40. And the same thing with people that absolutely love the Shure SM7B are switching over to the BP40. But you have people that still, their voice is going to sound better on the SM7B than it will on any other mic. Granted, your voice is going to sound different on each mic you use. It's just a question of which mic is going to be best for you. On the Electro-Voice RE20, I think my voice sounds really good. Really good. But then when I discovered the Audio-Technica BP40, it's a toss-up now. I'm almost thinking that it sounds better here. Now, when we're talking about frequencies and all that kind of stuff, the Electro-Voice is pretty much kind of flat. They don't really boost it at a certain frequency or anything like that. It sounds clear the way it is. But with the Audio-Technica BP40, they give it a little boost around the 4 kilohertz range. And that's a strategically picked range frequency because that's going to make your voice sound more intelligible, more clear. So even if you're recording on any other microphone, if you go into your DAW, post-edit, and increase around 4K, it's going to make you sound a little bit clearer. You don't have to do that with this because it's already built into the mic to give it that boost at that frequency. And the Shure SM7B, I mean, everybody knows this mic. You have to be hiding under a rock for the past 50 years to not know about this mic. And all three of these also are good for vocals. I mean, singing vocals. Michael Jackson, like we said, has used this. James Hetfield of Metallica has used this. There's a whole list of people that have used this. And on the Electro-Voice RE20, also good for singing as well. Stevie Wonder uses this, and he sounds fantastic with it. This one, being so new, is going to take a little bit of a while for people to catch on to it, for musicians, because those who are using the other two have been using it for a while, and they may not be so willing to try or switch, but I guarantee you, once they're exposed to this, you're going to see a lot more mention of this. Right now, there's not that much on YouTube, but when you do look at YouTube videos about this, it's always going to be something like, why doesn't this get more attention? Like, wow, I really didn't expect this mic to sound so good. So, if you're just getting started and you want the top of the line mics, you can go with a Shure SM7B and it's going to make your voice sound really good. And it's going to set you back $400. If you really want a nice sounding voice, you can go with the Electro-Voice RE20. It's going to set you back $450. Or you can go with newcomer Audio-Technica BP40 at $350. That's a big savings. That's a humongous savings. Also, let's talk about something else. I'm recording everything right now on a Zoom H6 handy recorder. It happens to have preamps built into it that can handle these mics because the Shure SM7B is notorious for being a gain-hungry mic. So unless you have something like a Zoom H6 or a Zoom H8 or one of the Zoom's field recorders like the F6 or F4 or F8, chances are you're going to need to get something called a cloud lifter or a FET head to boost the signal on this. The same holds true for the Electro-Voice RE20, also gain hungry, not quite as gain hungry as the Shure, but you also may need to consider getting a cloud lifter or a FET head for this. Now, if you're using like a Zoom H6 recorder like I'm using, I'm not using a cloud lifter or a FET head or anything. The mics are going straight through, and let's see. Let me tell you what the levels are. On the Shure SM7B, I've got the gain or volume control for recording knob. That is set at 8. So from 0 to 10, it's set at 8. So I still have a little bit of play there. I can increase it to 10. But the more you increase it, the more noise you get. All right, with the Audio-Technica, the gain on this is set to 6. So I have a lot more room left gain-wise using the Audio-Technica, which means you don't really need a cloud lifter or a FET head with this. Chances are this is going to work with whatever audio interface or whatever you're plugging this into. Should work just fine. Of course, if you have a noisy preamp, any of these are going to benefit from a cloud lifter or a FET head. All right, and as for the Electro-Voice RE20, the gain on this is set for 7. So isn't that interesting? The Shure SM7B, the gain setting is 8. The Electro-Voice RE20, the gain setting is 7. And on the Audio-Technica BP40, the gain setting is 6. All right, so we've done a lot of talking, which is what these mics are meant to be used for. Talking, capturing your voice in the best possible manner, and recreating your voice in the best possible manner. So for a final test, here is the Shure SM7B, and this is what my voice sounds like with it. This is the Audio-Technica BP40, and this is what my voice sounds like with it. This is the Electro-Voice RE20, and this is what my voice sounds like with it. Also, I mean, when you're doing podcasting, broadcasting, maybe creating an audiobook or whatever it is that you're doing, spoken word, you want to be within 6 inches of these mics, and that sounds the best. But when you see me doing reviews of products, you'll typically see me with the mic down here, and I've got more like 12 inches. So this is what I sound like with the mic that far away. And this is on the Audio-Technica BP40. This is what I sound like with the Shure SM7B 12 inches away. And this is what I sound like on the Electro-Voice RE20 12 inches away. So my overall opinion is all three of these mics are great. You can't go wrong with either of them, but one of them is going to be more suited to your voice than the other two. And right now, out of all three of these, I am loving the Audio-Technica BP40. And if you're looking for a high quality broadcast mic and really can't afford a Shure SM7B and especially an Electro-Voice RE20, save yourself some money and get the BP40, and you may sound even better than you would on either of the other two mics. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Piano Man Chuck. Peace out. Thanks for watching.